You'll be on at 1 o'clock. I'm Teri, and I'm one of the members of the club. So because I'm new to this, I decided to go to the San Francisco Writers Club, and I'm really glad that I did. It was a 4-day extravaganza, and it was a great experience. And because I'm new to writing, this was a crash course in some valuable insider information. So if you're new to writing, I would highly recommend going to this thing, even though it's super expensive. Okay, how do I make it go, Bernard? I did it. Okay, they had it down at the Embarcadero waterfront, which is a great spot to have a conference because there's so much to do down there. It's a lot less touristy than Pier 39, but it still has stunning views of the bay. And it has nonstop ferries that are coming right across the bay all the time with the commuters back and forth. And the ferry building right there is full of shops and little eateries. It's just a short walk from the host hotel. So it was really a lot of fun. And because Embarcadero is down in the financial district, it brings a different energy on a weekend. So you have to remember that the eateries are all closed. The host hotel was beautiful. The San Francisco Writers Club worked very hard to set this up over the last year. All the details were worked out in place and the guests had arrived. Rooms were filling up. The first plenary session had started when we had news of a temporary power outage. Within minutes, the lights were out and we were on emergency generator power. Apparently, there was a small kitchen fire and they had to turn off the electricity. But that stunning sculpture in the middle of the atrium is also a fountain. So when the electricity went off, the fountain flooded the atrium. The flood in the atrium created a big mess in their power center for the hotel. So half of the hotel was out without power for 2 days. The rooms were freezing cold because it was the start of a rainy weekend. Showers were freezing cold. There was no hot water. The kitchen was out. It was a disaster. But luckily, the conference rooms were all still functional. And some of the sessions were by these glow sticks that they put all over the place. They finally got a big semi to come in that generated power until they could get the electricity back on. It was a real disaster. But not for me. I wasn't at the hotel. Thank God I was down the street. The information was overwhelming, but they organized the presentations into tracks so you could stick to a theme depending on your area of interest. Themes like Hollywood Summit for screenwriters, fiction, nonfiction, kid lit, self-publishing, and my favorite, the fundamentals track. The sessions were tailored to meet the theme so you could better choose which to attend. Consultation and pitch appointments ran simultaneously to the conference sessions. They charged extra for these appointments, but the registration included one free pitch session with a person of your choice, which was brilliant because it made me do a pitch. I wasn't going to do one, but I did one, and I'm glad I did. I went off the rails and did 4. Consultations were one-on-one sessions with professionals like agents, editors, and publishers. You could look them up by their bio in the program, and there's a program that I brought to Kim to look at, but the program is so good because it has all these people's little blurbs in there. So you've got like 100 people that are in the industry that now you have a contact if you want to look up an agent or a publisher. They're all in this little schedule thing I brought back. We had 2 keynote speakers, Tommy Orange, he's from, I think, Oakland, and he wrote a New York Times bestseller called They're There, and it was about a multi-generational family of urban Native Americans. And then we had another keynote with Ilsa McElroy, and Ilsa is a non-binary writer who wrote this book called The Atmospherians, and People Collide. Master classes were an extra 3-hour session you paid extra for, like $150, and it was like a workshop on memoir writing or something. So master classes are also really good. The most valuable experience for me was the opportunity to better understand the publishing industry. We had a couple of sessions where we got to hear from agents, editors, independent publishers, coaches, publicists, and authors. In doing a pitch, you had only 8 minutes to sell your story, but you had to leave about 4 minutes for feedback, so you really had 4 minutes to sell your story. I signed up for 2 pitches and had a good luck to sit next to an acquiring editor at a luncheon who was gracious enough to let me pitch her for free. She was my first one and I messed it up big time, but her feedback was great. By my last pitch, it was way easier. This is the way to practice, I think, is to go to these conferences. And also some of the people that I pitched with made it clear that they'd rather look at you in the eye and up and, size you up than just get a query letter from someone they've never met before. This section was on how to write a book proposal, and it was a panel discussion with industry professionals. So these guys are all from the Bay Area, except Joey's from Sacramento. The takeaways for me are simplified by the slide. This is the detailed document you'd send a publisher to convince them that your book idea is viable and worth investing in. It differs from a query letter in its detail and its length. You need a clear sense of what the book is about and be able to generate some interest and excitement from about your project. You should be able to articulate the central idea of the story, and then some market relevance and current comp titles to show potential audience. You include information about yourself that is relevant to selling the book. Talk about publications, awards, expertise in the topic. Do you have marketing plan is about your platform or your reach? Do you have an online presence, a following? It's about showing how much time and energy you're willing to invest for your project. Timetable refers to the SMART goals you have set for completion of publishing your manuscript. Include a chapter outline and some sample pages from the beginning of the book. Legal issues for writers was an eye-opener. Robert Pym is a literary lawyer from the Bay Area, and his talk showed all the complicated issues with regards to publishing. Because publishing is about working with others, it should be governed by written legal agreements to protect all the involved parties. Because publishing is so complex, the business model will have unique issues to be considered, such as traditional, self, or hybrid. He advised making sure that you have a legal agreement when you are working with an agent or any third party who may have a future interest in your book. He told this story about traditional publishers, how they'll send you a subpar contract unless you negotiate for your best interests. He said a former Supreme Court justice had written a book. The traditional publisher sent over a contract for him to sign, which he dutifully did and returned in short order. The publisher was horrified that the crummy contract was signed by such an esteemed arbiter of the law that they promptly revised it for a fair set of conditions. Self-publishing has its own myriad issues, so author beware. My main takeaway was that I'm going to hire a literary law attorney if I ever get to that level. Everybody know who this is? This is Michael Larson. So this was a panel discussion called First Draft Pitch about the all-important first draft pitch. It's important to have the first draft written so there's evidence of a completed book. Meeting an agent or publisher face-to-face for a quick 8 minutes, 4 of which is listening to feedback, is a great way to make a physical and emotional connection with a potential business partner. This photo is Michael Larson, a longtime literary agent who helped to co-found the SFWC. He was in an emeritus position, and he walked around with his red hat on, and that meant he was open to giving advice or open to conversation. His line, "The hook, the book, and the cook," says it all. The hook is what gets your agent or publisher to want to know more. The book is a brief synopsis about the core of the story. You want to build energy and tension. The cook is a brief statement about you as the author, like any published works or involvement in writers' groups like the CWC. The pitch helps to prep the way for you to send a query letter if your project gets interest. I think it's valuable to meet these pros first before you send a query letter. Sorry, this is so small. Query basics. This presentation was about writing the basics of writing a query letter. This is the process for seeking a literary agent for submission to a publisher and convince them that your project will be interesting and profitable. Email is appropriate for this one-page, single-space document. Embed the query and synopsis together in the body of the email. Start by greeting the agent, introduce yourself, include metadata like word count, genre, point of view, current comp titles. Your hook is the one-line pitch that piques interest. You should include a brief synopsis of the book and any cover art you may have chosen. Be sure to include information about you as the author, like a short relevant bio and any credentials. These are some resources for writing query letters and writing in general. Query Tracker is a free site that collects data. So it's really about collecting the data, but it also gives you a place to organize your query letters and agent experiences. Reedsy is a place for writers to get coaches and other things to help you learn how to write the writing craft. JaneFriedman.com is a site to help writers understand publishing, as well as it's full of articles related to writing. Publishers Marketplace is a site to research literary agents and find the best one for you. Manuscript Wish List is a place for agents and editors to post what they wish they had in their inbox. Only agents and publishers post, but writers can search the posts to find people who are compatible with their work. And then Query Shark is a public forum to post your query letter and get feedback, which I would never do. Or just use your critique partners to practice with. These were some of the fun activities they had at the conference. They had a pub quiz at breakfast. Harvey's dinners are a casual meetup opportunity for dinner to get to know others at the conference. Gott's Roadside is a burger joint in the Ferry Building, and that's a regular feature of the conference, to share a meal with other attendees. They had other social functions like nightcaps and network, and at the gala, the big cocktail party, they had a poetry and jazz open mic, which was really fun. So just remember, with writers, gala attire means coming in whatever you have on. Don't dress up or you'll be super embarrassed. This motivational talk about becoming a writer who can succeed as an author was very helpful. It's really easy. It's about living the identity you seek with the behaviors that get you to the goal. Completely simple. Writers write consistently. They develop the habits of writing discipline. They make time to develop a platform, and they make the effort to market themselves. This presentation followed the same theme of evolving your behaviors to fit the identity of writer-author. In addition to writing, you must make the time to promote yourself and your work. Network with other authors. Market and develop a platform. All the actions authors do should be part of your planning. And more good advice from the panel. Embrace it all with a confident posture, the tone of your voice, your attire. Seek feedback for your work. These help you to evolve into the identity of author. Joey Garcia is a Sacramento resident and a publicist and a book coach. Her presentation on building a platform convinced me of this necessary aspect of being an author. Websites, social media, podcast, blog, YouTube. Create the buzz. You need organic movement. Polish your speaking skills. Offer something that relates to your book, to your potential readers on your platform. Or you can hire a publicist like Joey for around $16,000 for a 2-year contract. Platforms take time, and timing is everything. It takes about 2 years to build a good network. This panel discussion focused on memoir, what it is and what's selling. Memoir is a slice of life, not autobiography. It should have the elements of resilience and survival. It's not a victim story. It's a transformational story. Memoir writes into the truth. And the truth is, these 3 ladies are publishers of small presses, and they don't care if you have a platform. So that's why I put their names up here. And then this last slide is going to talk about a session by Lisa Cooper Ellison, Write without re-traumatizing yourself. This is, she's a book coach, and she's also very trauma-informed. She developed a scale of distress, and she has a workbook that you can order that also details how to write without re-traumatizing yourself. Trauma is something that changes your worldview, and it imprints itself on your nervous system. So when you write, you're imprinting a different story on your nervous system. Best writing is between 3 and 6 on her scale. So 3 is mild distress but able to function. 4 is mild to moderate distress. 5 is moderate distress, uncomfortable but still functional. And 6 is moderate to strong distress. So that's where you do your best writing. Anything above that, it's going to be, you're going to need a lot of time and you're going to need some rest. Traumatic writing takes a lot of time. You need to rest. If your writing leaves you high on the emotional scale, then you have to get into therapy, which is what I did.